Today on Board with Life, I'm interviewing Jerry Hawthorne, designer of Mice and Mystics. We're going to talk about expansions, mice, family, and Plaid Hat Games as publisher. Let's do it. Hey everybody, Donald here. I've got Jerry Hawthorne of Mice and Mystics fame. He's sitting down and talk with us a little bit about board games. Thanks for coming out, Jerry.
Thanks for having me.
First of all, congrats on tearing it up at the Dice Tower Awards. You won 3 awards, was it?
That's right, 3 awards. We won Best Art.
Nice.
And that is in large part due to our great artist, John Ariosa, and Dave Richards, our graphic artist, nice. And our sculptor, Chad Hoverter.
Awesome.
And we won Best Small Publisher because Colby and Plaid Hat Games is just the best small publisher. and then the game won Best Theme in a Game, which was my idea.
Nice. And you also got an honorable mention, right, for Best New Designer, correct?
Yes, I did. And
that's exciting. Who's the son of a bitch that beat you?
I don't know. I
mean, you could have that dude taken out. You just got to drop a name. We here at Board with Life, we have power. We know people. Well, that's really exciting. Is that the sort of thing that your friends and family understand the significance of, or are they just like, oh, that's cool?
That's cool.
Yeah.
That's pretty much the way that they are. You know, I'm not sure that my whole extended family is aware of any of my Mystic stuff, but my core family, my wife and kids are proud of me. So.
Do you get like a trophy to put on your wall, or?
I haven't received anything. I don't know if they have a trophy or not. They might have just like a little cardboard plaque or something.
I could see that. Sure. A little dice tower or something. So on a scale of 1 to 10, how tired are you of having your stuff compared to Mouse Guard and Secret of Nim and Watership Down, or all this stuff? Does that drive you crazy?
No, I love that stuff. It only drives me crazy when somebody approaches the subject as if I was like somehow or another stealing some thunder from them, and
So you mean a person on the internet?
Sure. Yes. Well, I mean, what I see is this world filled with vibrant stories being told about these mythical little furry creatures, and I've seen this my whole life since long before Mouse Guard. Yeah. I mean, I used to love Tom and Jerry when I was a kid.
Yeah.
And, my favorite episode of Tom and Jerry is one where Jerry is a little mouseketeer, and he's got a little sword and a little cape and a little hat with a feather in it, and I just love that, I think it's really awesome to be included in that kind of company, because I think the Mouse Guard stuff is just so wonderful, and so is Mice Templar and Despero and Secret of Nim, and all that stuff is just so incredibly awesome.
I mean, what do you think it is about mice specifically? I've thought about that a lot, like other rodents don't get the luxury. I mean, even people love bunny rabbits, and sure, there's like Bugs Bunny and stuff, but there's way more famous mice than there are funny bunnies.
I think, you take this tiny creature who in itself is fairly defenseless. Yeah. And you look at the fact that mice have existed throughout, like, recorded history, and they thrive regardless of what kind of challenges they face. And mice themselves, they embody sort of this idea that no matter how small you are, if you group together in numbers and you all have the same goal in mind, you can accomplish quite a bit. And I think that resonates with children, because children are kind of like that in a way, because they're small and they're small and they're defenseless. They don't think that about themselves. They think, wow, here I am. And so I think that when they see these little mice and all the stuff that these cool little mice can do, I think that it just resonates with them.
So if we can, let's set all that fame and fortune aside for just a moment. Forget that you're living large in a mansion off all that sweet board game money that is the industry so famous for. And maybe we can go back to when you were just first getting into this. Like, what were some of your early sort of dipping your toe into board gaming experiences?
Well, when I was a kid, my older brother liked to play games like Starfleet Battles and Squad Leader and Crescendo of Doom and Cross of Iron and those kind of games, and so I naturally got involved in those games.
Do you have any like early memories of
Absolutely,
designing games?
The first thing I think I did when I was a kid is I made this big dungeon on a giant refrigerator cardboard box, that we had tore up and turned inside out, and we took crayons and we drew this huge dungeon, and we took little miniatures and made up rules and played
That's awesome.
It was we had a lot of fun with it, and it was just a little project and stuff. But so I guess I've always been doing it.
Were you into like pen and paper RPGs, I'm guessing, then, like as a kid, or?
Well, I first started playing games more like your hex and chit games, like Squad Leader and Starfleet Battles and Cross of Iron and Crescendo of Doom and all those kind of games. And then, but when I discovered Dungeons and Dragons, way back when it was just a fledgling little system by TSR, it just completely blew my mind, and then that's all we played for a long time.
Nice. Were you a dungeon master?
Yeah, usually I was.
Yeah.
But when we first started playing, I never was a dungeon master. I was just a player, and I had my favorite characters, and we got really detailed with all the history and stuff of all of our characters and everything.
Totally.
And so I understand that love and the attachment that people develop for their characters and stuff.
Yeah. Yeah, I used to play as a kid. What edition do you know? Do you know what?
The old blue box, the one that came with the not the original little box with the individual manuals, but the one that came with Adventure into the Unknown or something like that.
Yeah.
The module that it came with, it actually had blanks, and you were to fill it in, and it kind of taught you how to be a dungeon master. You were to fill it in with your own monsters and treasure and stuff like that. So that was the one. We had crayons that we had to rub on the dice to make the numbers appear.
Really?
Yeah, it came with a crayon, and then the dice they had the numbers carved into them, but then you had to take the crayon and rub it across there so that the wax would get stuck in the numbers
so that you could actually read it?
Yeah.
That's crazy. So do you think any of that influenced, I'm assuming that influenced Mice and Mystics coming about?
Yeah, sure. I think that Mice and Mystics is sort of like my love letter to all the things that I enjoy in games, and it's kind of like taking all of that stuff and just kind of throwing it into a tossed salad. It's got some RPG elements, but it's not an RPG.
Right.
It's got a strong story because I really feel like when I'm playing a game, sometimes I feel like I'm missing that element from my childhood where you have this developing story and you feel like you're a part of it. So.
Mice and Mystics has gotten a lot of attention for its family-friendly storytelling aspect. How did that come about? What was the inspiration for making it a storytelling game?
Well, when we were trying to teach my daughter how to read, she struggled a little bit with reading, and it appeared to me that she just wasn't interested in the subject matter and stuff. And at the time, she was really into mice. She had mice, stuffed animals, and pet mice and everything. And so I thought, oh, you know what? I'll create a game that that'll involve reading, and then it'll kind of get her interested in the story. And then when she's interested in the story and she gets to interact with the elements of the game, then that'll encourage her to read. And unfortunately, we found out shortly after I started designing Mice and Mystics, we found out that my daughter has a learning disorder. She has a visual processing disorder. It's real similar to dyslexia. And so, no amount of fun game is going to help with that. But by that time, I started to recognize that there was some basis here for a possible commercial product. And then my friend Colby, who had his own publishing company, started his own publishing company, asked me if I had any designs, and I mentioned this one, and he asked me if I could make a prototype for him. I spent about 6 months working on a prototype, and then showed it to him at Gen Con, and he decided to publish it.
What was your relationship before that?
Well, I met Colby. We both worked for Hasbro on a couple of different games for Hasbro. We worked on Heroescape, and then we also worked on Battleship Galaxies together. Nice. And then we worked for Wizards of the Coast. We did a Dungeons and Dragons version of Heroescape together. So we did all these collaborations together, and then outside of the work that we did professionally, we would also collaborate on making custom editions for Heroescape and stuff like that, or just brainstorming about games in general. He basically start a publishing company so that he could get his own game idea published because he couldn't find a publisher that would pick it up.
Yeah.
That was before the big explosion of board game explosion. Because I mean, it seems like right now we're in this golden era of board games, and I think it would be 10 million times easier for him to publish his game now. He wouldn't have had to start his own publishing company, but I'm glad he did because
it worked out.
Yes, and he's a genius. What can I say? He's so brilliant, and he's an enormous part of every game that comes through Plaid Hat Games. He is directly involved in it. I'm not sure all publishers can say that.
You said your daughter has pet mice?
Yep.
Did you pull any names from the pets? For the
game? Crumbles. Has anybody tried the little downloadable chapter?
I haven't. No.
Well, on the Plaid Hat Games website, we have one downloadable chapter, and we plan on having more. They're 99-cent PDFs, and you just download them and print them off and play. The one that we have right now is about this little mouse named Crumbles, who's like a little toddler mouse who wanders off into the castle. And the castle's, a pretty dangerous place. And so the little mouse wanders off in the castle. So the mice have to go in. And it's kind of like a Mr. Magoo kind of thing where the little Crumbles is wandering into all these horrible dangers. And the mice are, scrambling to try to protect the little mouse. And then they want to bring him back safely, obviously. And so I named the little mouse Crumbles after my daughter's pet mouse, Crumbles.
That's awesome. That's really cool. So Mice and Mystics, right now you can pre-order a small expansion called Heart of Glorm. Is there anything you can tell us about that?
Yeah, Heart of Glorm is our small expansion. My publisher wanted to have an offering that was a smaller price point. And it's a small expansion. And it comes with a 6-chapter storybook and a new mouse who is kind of like a druid. She's like a nature mouse from the wilds. And so she can do all kinds of alchemy and natural-based magic and stuff. And she's backward compatible. So if somebody wants to use her and go back through the chapters in this game with her, that's fine too.
That's cool.
The story starts with her having a vision of the trouble going on with this tree, and so she makes a trip to Barksburg where the mice are living at the end of the story that comes with the base game. She makes a pilgrimage there to find out what's going on with their tree, and then that is the beginning of this big struggle that the mice all get involved in, because as soon as she arrives, the place is in turmoil, and they have a new threat coming from within the castle that they knew before. And I don't want to give too much of it away because as you guys know, this is a story that'll unfold.
Yeah.
Yes. So that's why I don't talk a lot about the story and stuff, but it comes with a new arch villain and new encounter cards and new search cards and some new ability cards for the mice and some tokens and stuff.
Cool, excellent. That sounds really neat. What's the date on that? When does that drop?
September. Sometime in September.
Okay,
yeah.
So it's right around the corner.
Yeah.
And then do you have any other expansions for Mice and Mystics?
We do. I'm working on one right now called the Downwood Tales, and it's going to be a big box expansion, about the same size as the base game. And it's going to come with a big storybook that has 11 or 12 chapters in it, and 8 new outdoor tiles that are just like the base game. They're two-sided, but they depict different locations in the enchanted forest outside the castle. And it's going to have 3 new mice heroes and a bunch of new minions and all kinds of figures. It's going to have like 30 different miniatures in there. 30 miniatures that come with it. It picks up right after Heart of Glorm, so the story just continues. You can just keep on continuing with the story. And it takes the mice out into the forest to find a new home for the mice that live in the tree. But unfortunately, the forest is not a very safe place. And so before they can settle their mice into the forest, they have to make the forest a safer place. So.
Wow, that's exciting. And that's coming out next year?
Yep.
Is that the sort of thing you can play on its own, or it's purely expansion?
It's purely an expansion.
That's awesome.
The idea.
You can carry your characters through this full story.
Yep. You can use all the mice from the base game. My plan is that any mice that come in any of my expansions are going to be completely compatible with any of the other expansions, so you can just mix and match them however you want.
Is there anything else you're working on you can tell us about, or is that taking up all your time? Or
that's pretty much taking up all my time. I have a couple of other game ideas that I'm working on prototypes for, but those are not anywhere near even talking about or showing to anybody yet, because the Downwood Tales and all the stuff involving Mice and Mystics really keeps me busy right now. It's tough juggling work, because I work full time, and then I try to design in my off time, if you can call it that, because it's really not off time if you're spinning it, filling it up with work. But I'm a dad and a husband too, and so I have all these different things pulling me in different directions and stuff. But I try to work at night or in the morning on the Mice and Mystics stuff. I'm
assuming the family's pretty understanding of the situation.
They are. It comes and goes. There's been times when, before the game was actually published and stuff, where my wife was like, "What are you doing?"
Right.
Because without having anything to show for your efforts, you really just have nothing but lost time. And so, but now she sees, and I mean, I think anybody that looks at the finished product and says they can see, okay, wow, okay, this is what he was talking about, and when it all came together just so beautifully.
Awesome. Well, thanks for sitting down with us, Jerry. I am excited to have done this and talk to you. It's our first interview that we're doing on Board with Life. Hopefully first of many. So you guys need to go and pre-order Heart of Glorm right now. You can do that at Plaid Hat Games website and maybe other places. I don't know. And also, you should be ready and excited for the next expansion, which is called...
The Downwood Tales.
The Downwood Tales. Is there anything else you want to plug?
Nope.
Can we find you anywhere on the internet?
Yeah, I'm usually on Plaid Hat Games or Board Game Geek. I'm No Beer Blues on Board Game Geek.
Cool. Awesome. All right, guys. Well, thank you. Thanks for sticking around this long, and thanks again to Jerry Hawthorne for talking to us. I just wanted to remind everyone to like, subscribe, and share the page. Hopefully with your help, we can keep doing cool stuff like this. Thanks.